Well, good evening, everybody on YouTube. How are we doing? I hope everybody's doing well and having a great evening. And thanks for coming and hanging out with us while we watch Last of the Mohicans. And let me introduce the panel this evening.
Hello, everybody. Shieldwall Dragons here. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, Jacob. I really appreciate letting me talk about this great movie with you and the rest of the panel. Oh, the raccoon's sitting in his chair again. Perhaps.
Hey, thought you might have been got by the raccoons there, Jacob. Looking forward to bringing what I consider to be my pleb sort of view on these films. Not much of a movie guy, but I'm happy to watch something and talk about it. And this one's pretty good.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, Blair, how's it going?
Good. Blair to Blair here. How's it going?
Good.
One of the bearded duo.
Actually, we all have beards. You just
Oh,
can't
nice.
see mine. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
mine's nowhere as good as Beard of Liberty or Blair to Blair's. And Jacob trimmed his up. So looks like we lost him again. It's got to be this movie. The
It's cursed.
every time we try to review this thing, he has problems with his internet or raccoons or the heat. I mean, to be fair, it is 100, and he said it was like over 100 degrees where he's at.
Yeah,
Texas.
Right, getting brownouts and
Who knows?
overheated equipment.
I always imagine that he lives in like a cabin that like the like Daniel Boone or somebody lived in, in eastern Texas somewhere. Like a lot of animals running around out there.
Yeah, he's out in the desert, kind of scrubland.
yeah. When you plug your internet into what is essentially a solo cup and string, you got to make do with what you have.
Yeah. Yep. See, there's the raccoon.
Yep, they got him. They got him.
They got him.
Raccoon is
Our
taking over.
raccoon overlords are here now. I can just see him doing battle with a whole horde of them.
Hello.
Like zombies, like you. Hello, Jacob.
Yeah.
Welcome back
to your show, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking, Jacob, we can't hear you for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think they got him again.
Which was weird because everything was working fine backstage.
Yeah.
He had a cool background going and sounded great. The lighting was good. Oh, that's here.
Then all of a sudden, boom. Hello, chat. We see you. Stephen, Matt, Ubaldo T, Corey Cochran, Joseph Dredd, rather. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need that kind of hate.
Yeah. He will. And Steven's talking about
Zach.
For
Zach.
White.
Oh yeah. 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 A lot of those Huron and such look awful kind of pale, I would say.
Well, you got to remember the movie was made in its time.
I think they did justice to it. I mean, they're wearing the paint and the outfits, and Magua is still in Jacob's voice. Like Magua steals many other things. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the movie that we're hopefully going to be reviewing here is Last Mohicans. And if I got my facts straight, it came out in 1991 or 92.
I think 92, right thereabouts.
All right, let's see.
92.
Yeah. And it's based off of a book from 1826.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to take place in 1757. So quite a few years before the Revolutionary War. So England and France are fighting over who's going to be basically in charge of North America or different territories.
We called it the French Indian Wars here.
Right. Yes, it was called the 7 Years' War in Europe, and it was much greater scope. This was only just one theater of battle.
Yeah.
North America was so, but the book was very well received, and you got to remember at the time that the book had come out in 1826, like the Louisiana Purchase had happened, and a lot of new territory had opened up in America, and so people were there was new lands to move into, and there was a lot more friction with Native Americans that hadn't already been subjugated by that point. There were new tribes that people were moving into their tribal areas, and so the book kind of reignited those kinds of if you lived in New York, let's say you're a young person in New York, an upscale woman that could afford a book in a safety of New York, that was an exciting thing to read about. And it has a lot of the same kind of settings that a romance novel would have. The dashing frontiersman, the exotic American Indian that might have a love interest with one of the other women, and those kinds of things.
It kind of ignites that same excitement that you see from Alice very early on, before they start making their journey, which is like, oh, I can't wait to see the red man in the frontier.
Yeah, exactly. Like the savages, and I've heard of all about their rituals and all this kind of stuff, and then you see them, and they're like wearing buckskins and loincloths, and and they're exotic in a lot of ways, and just so many things are different. Plus, there's so much undeveloped land that if you lived in Europe, yeah, they had forests and whatever, but somebody owned all of that. I mean, technically, the Native Americans owned those areas, but to the Europeans, they didn't consider it that really. I mean, I think they had a concept of some ownership, like, hey, these are their lands. But once you get enough people moving in, they just start to encroach on that.
Especially when you start dealing with the tribes that didn't really settle down for long. They chased their food, very nomadic. Then it was very difficult to argue to a European at that time, hey, this is their land, when they're miles and miles away.
Right.
Yeah, they never stay anywhere. It's like everything from the horizon. Hey, Jacob, welcome back.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I restarted the router and computer, and hopefully that fixed the problem. Probably not, awesome. But I'm back. All right, let me pull up the show.
Pictures.
By restart router, you certainly meant murk some raccoons.
That's right. That's code. Minecraft code. That's right.
Yeah, in Minecraft.
In Minecraft, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I rebooted the router in Minecraft.
But one thing to note about the tribes of Native Americans on the East Coast is a lot of them were into farming.
Yeah.
And like the Delaware, they did fishing on the coast. So they had some places had set like villages that they lived in longhouses. So they were more sedentary than, let's say, the Plains Indians that had to
Right.
move with the herds. And so therefore it was easier to come into conflict with them, with the settlers. And also they had confederations of tribes that were very powerful, and they were a political entity that needed to be negotiated with. And that's what you'll see in the movie is the French and the English try to sway one side to the other. And then later in the Revolutionary War, the same thing happens. And
Right.
usually the British would give them a much better deal than the Americans would.
Yeah.
And history will play out that those that sided with the Americans usually didn't wind up on the winning side per se later on in what happens to them.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
but,
know up here up in Wisconsin, a lot of, by the time the Revolutionary War happened and the British started coming here, a good chunk of the native population was actually intermarried with the French.
yeah,
So
because
most they weren't like true-blooded or full-blooded natives. They're I don't know what the term is for when whites and natives mix. There was another term like when Spanish and natives, you have Hispanic, or I think it was called mulatto or something. There was that other term for it up here where you had white French and natives. They were paler skinned, they had more European features, but they were still, they dressed native, or a kind of a combination, because they had so much trade with the French.
it was because of all the trappers that were up there.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
let me say,
here we go.
let me say hello to the chat real quick.
All
That
right.
is okay. Yeah, I think that's what the term, Zach, I've heard before.
Okay. So yeah, we got Corey. Hello there. Glad you came by. Here's Judge Dredd. Joseph Dredd is here.
Oh, he did it too.
I did it too. Did you already introduce the chat in the chat?
A few of them. Some more have come in.
Okay. There's Steven.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's Roman.
Yep. Baldo.
Hello there. Thanks for coming by.
Zax is here.
Yeah, I think Zax is here.
And
Matt's here. Yeah, there's Zax.
Love it. Ever. Yep. Hey.
And Roman. There's Roman.
And John A. Douglas.
Hey, John.
Oh, and here he is.
Thanks
Nos.
for coming by, man.
Hello, Nos.
There's the person. There's Bloss. Right there. Okay. So, love how it starts off the mountains.
Mm-hmm. This is a very beautiful movie. I forgot how well the shots are. Sometimes it looks like it was like a painting sometimes. So that one shot where they're coming over the bridge and the carriages. Mm-hmm. If you can find that one, that was like, wow.
Yeah, the upstate New York has a lot of, they have the mountains up there. And then you have the Appalachians that go all the way down the East Coast.
Yeah.
All the way down to Georgia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this is supposed to take place in the Hudson Valley area. It says.
Right.
I don't know. Does anyone know where they filmed it, actually?
I knew it last time we tried to do this. I can't remember.
No.
I want to say it was someplace. I mean, it still looks like that up there. It's not very well developed in most parts of New York.
Like the Poconos, upstate New York?
Yeah. Right. You go up to Adirondacks or whatever. It still looks like this. I mean, obviously, you have to. There's going to be some houses and planes flying over and whatever. But
this part is really the only part I kind of pick at, where they're chasing the deer. I mean, if you tried that in real life, that deer would be gone.
Oh yeah.
Is it wounded? Have they shot it already? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because if
But I
that's an
mean,
unwounded
it's a
deer,
neat
that thing,
it's
yeah,
a neat part in it, but not very realistic.
I know one of the things they show in the credits is that it's based on a screenplay from the 30s. Like they were going to make it, or they made it once upon a time. And they based part of it on that screenplay too.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So it took me forever, but most of the outdoor filming was done in the Blue Mountains of North Carolina, around Asheville, which I should have remembered because I'm pretty sure I have ancestry that traces to that area.
right. And you know, the difference between that and upstate New York really isn't that big.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. At least they didn't have to go to like Romania or something. You know,
right.
Didn't they do some Civil War movie? They actually had to film it in like Czechoslovakia or Bulgaria or something.
Yeah, was that Cold Mountain?
Yeah,
it was Romania, I think.
They filmed Cold Mountain in Romania. It had to be for budgetary reasons. You can't tell me that
Probably
somewhere in the South doesn't still have mountains like that.
Yeah,
that, and I think it was just they had so much land available that was devoid of houses and
right
power lines and stuff.
Yeah, I like that they come to this family's farm. It like grounds the story for me.
Mm-hmm. And later on, when we return, it everything here just is so natural. You can tell that everybody is so familiar that this is not the first time that they just show up randomly and are welcomed in. They're basically considered family. So when we returned, it actually helps give you that gut punch.
Also, I think back then people were more accepting of strangers than they are now. Like if somebody just showed up at your house these days and was like, "Hey, can I stay here? Do you have any food and water?" Or whatever,
No.
you'd be like, "Get the hell out of here." But back then, this might be the only like quote civilization for 15 or 20 miles.
True.
So
Yeah.
you would right. You would
you would want to like make those relationships so that
right.
Like your neighbors are 10 miles away, but they're on the way to the town, so you're going to spend the night at their house.
Right. You had almost like a moral obligation. Maybe you didn't have to feed them your best food or whatever, but you could at least let them sleep in the barn. Drink of water.
You had to provide shelter. Yeah.
Right. Which is why back in those days and even up into the late 1800s, stealing a horse was a hanging offense. Because if you stole somebody's horse and they were out in the middle of somewhere, you were going to kill them. Because that was their big lifeline.
Mm-hmm. So they mentioned that they're going to go to winter in a place called Kentucky. Like Kentucky. That was kind of cool.
Right.
How they say it, like the regional name.
I like the friendly banter between these guys poking fun.
Kentucky and Tennessee were like the edge of the territory. I mean, they were like beyond
yes,
other people lived. And it was an area that if you didn't want to have the crown over your head, that's where you went.
Yeah.
You go to where your land is what you can keep other people from taking.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're talking about here how they're actually mustering up for militia. He's trying to get the county rolls.
Right.
Try to get fighters to join the war.
Also, back then, I think it was sanctioned. If you could just go to the frontier, plot out some land, clear it, and then make a house. And that was like your place. And the government promoted that so that they could get more settlers and expand the area, because eventually they would move in and then start administrating that place.
Without having to put in any infrastructure whatsoever. Oh, you sneaky government.
Yep. Well, I mean, but
it makes
basically
sense.
They said the land was free.
Yeah.
Like you can just go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to clear it. I mean, you're talking about chopping all those trees down.
You had to clear it. You had to develop it. You just couldn't pitch a tent there. You had to do all this stuff, grow crops.
Yeah.
And then it would be considered yours. I think there was like a period of time you had to be on it too.
Yeah. Like you can tell this area here that they cleared a clearing in the forest, and they used the lumber to build their house and this fencing and all the stuff around.
And how everybody is intermixed here.
Right.
You have Native Americans with settlers. You have people, you have French, you got Dutch, you got Germans, you got English, you know, people from all different places. The other thing that was interesting about North America at this time was in the South, down in Florida and all those places, was at one point Spain had been the primary people there, like St. Augustine and stuff.
Yeah.
So you had people from all over the place,
right,
in America at that time. Just kind of, if you push to the frontier, no matter what problems you might have had in Europe or wherever you were from, you could live a little more free here. Although it was, you know, it was rough, but you were free. Nobody really messed with you.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people sold themselves to indentured servitude.
I love how this guy. Yeah. My first ancestor was an indentured servant. So.
I like that this dude is trying to
for the crown, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Crown. He's appealing to like the British energy of people who really don't have much to do with actual Britain anymore.
I know, right? They're trying to raise that patriotic
the people
feeling
that left Britain.
Yeah, right. For reasons.
What's that Nathaniel says? He doesn't consider himself like subject to much.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah, there's no real difference between the French and English.
I don't subject myself to much anything at all. I love how the Indians are like, this guy, let's go play a game.
Yeah, exactly. Lacrosse game breaks out right in the middle of the recruitment drive.
I love it.
We're done.
I mean, it does kind of come out of nowhere, but it's just that's how much they care about what's going on. It's like, not my monkeys, not my circus.
So this guy in the middle here is Hawk, right?
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye, and he is the adopted son of I can't think of his name now.
Chingachgook.
Right, who's a
Chingachgook. Yeah,
who's a Mohican, and but it's him, his son, and his adopted son, and they are the last of that tribe.
Right.
So, which is why it's The Last of the Mohicans is the name of the movie.
This is like one of the most beautiful shots in the movie. It's, you know, that water is so still, you know, and that bridge is old, and, you know, there's no music, there's nothing happening, and it's very slowly, they just come right across, you know. Horses and carriages and...
No, where was this? This was New York or...
in the movie, it's New York, Hudson Valley, upstate New York.
Okay.
Reality, it's around Ashland, North Carolina.
Yeah, the cinematography, especially featuring the scenery, is fantastic. And I almost want to say they really use the scenery as a character, but it's not really a character because it doesn't really come into play so much. It just is the beauty that naturally exists around them.
If you've actually been to some of those areas back east, there are buildings that are still like that. Like they didn't have to build a giant set to get this kind of stuff. You just had to go to like a certain area and set up a camera and get all the cars out of the way.
Yeah,
right.
Now, Michael Mann directed this. Of course, you know, you've seen Miami Vice and Heat, and you know how he loves to do his shots. Well, he did that with this, with natural light, natural beauty, not like, you know, the light reflecting off the clouds of a city and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the dark night scenes in this are black.
Really lets the darkness do its work.
Yeah, you got torches and campfires and lanterns.
Right. And
like this is inside. Look how dark it is because it's all natural light coming in. You know,
if you see, and look how big those windows are. Nobody makes windows that big anymore, except maybe like in a high rise or something like that, like a skyscraper building. But for the most part, residential homes and other buildings, the windows are not that big. But they had to be back then to let in natural light. And even up until like the early part of the 20th century into the 1920s, they were still making windows that big for natural light. It was only until electric light became more prevalent and you started getting like fluorescent lights and stuff that the windows started getting smaller on buildings.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of funny how your building choices, your technology reflects what you can do. You have to have big windows for light, or you're in the far north or it's super cold. You can't have big, giant, open, airy spaces. You got to have like everything kind of compact to keep the heat in play.
Yeah.
And
that's why a lot of these bigger houses like this had an interior room where the fireplace and everything was so you stayed warm.
But if you've visited like an actual building that was built in the 17th century that's been maintained, they're amazing. How well they were built, how great they look, how comfortable they actually are. I've been to Valley Forge, and you go to the house that Washington used as his headquarters, and it's preserved. That place looked like you would want to live in it now. Just with some plumbing and electric lights in there, but it was well built.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures. My mother visited an ancestral home out in the Blue Ridge Mountains that whoever he was rich because it's 2 stories and it's massive for the time. And it is still standing, and it's a historical museum now. And it's just amazing to see. I'd like to visit it someday.
Yeah, I've been to Valley Forge. I haven't been to Monticello, but places like that are still around. Virginia and Maryland.
I'd like to.
New York,
I'd like to go to that part of the country. I've never been to that area.
Yeah, I lived in Delaware when I was a kid, so we went on lots of field trips. We went to like Delaware Indian sites. We went to, I think it was Monticello or someplace like that. So I've been to a lot of different places there. It was interesting. I might have been a little young for it because I don't remember it that much, but it was good. But anyway, I get a real feel for this movie. You know what I mean? Like, you can, if you go around those areas, you get the flavor of what this was.
Yeah.
I like right here where Duncan is just seeing the audacity of this other officer bargaining with people that he should just be telling and ordering what to do.
Yeah.
You start seeing that kind of mentality split between the British soldiers and the people who've separated themselves.
Yeah, he has kind of that attitude where terms, what are we talking about here? They should just do.
Yeah.
Because that's how you do it in Europe, but here in the Americas, you gotta cut some deals, and they're way more free spirited.
And there's a lot more to lose too. They're not just in England, they've got things that they have to deal with, Indians and all kinds of things that people in England don't have to worry about.
Yeah. They have land and houses now, whereas in England, they probably didn't have anything. They were renters or
serfs.
Yeah. Peasants.
Yeah, because that's a land where pretty much everything is provided, or to some extent, where out here, everybody has to, like the negotiations where they want to be able to leave if their homes come under attack. They have their homes they have to worry about because they know the soldiers aren't going to come after them.
And Magua understands very well.
He does.
Yeah, he's back in the corner. You can barely see him.
He steps out like Batman. Like,
Hear their diss in the French, saying they'd rather make love with their faces than
war.
There he is, West Studi.
Magua.
And I'm sure there was some film technique done. It could be as simple as a stepping out of the darkness. I saw that, Nos, and I'm not agreeing to that. I'm not agreeing to that. No chance.
No, not happening.
But whatever they did, it definitely made you get kind of a sense of, I don't think I like this guy when Magua steps out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actor did a really good job of making the character sinister.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just distant and cold. Just his lack of saying anything kind of is all that was need to be said.
Once you find out his motivations, though, I don't think he becomes a more sympathetic character, but a more understandable. He's not just implicitly evil.
Yeah, a lot of things were done by various people at this time that there were not a lot of good people,
Right.
Yeah.
It was just life, but it was,
This shot is one of the most like uppity British, like colonial era things that I could possibly think of.
Bring our dining chairs and table to the field.
Set up a chair and a chair and table
pasture.
about 100 yards that way, and then everybody clear out.
Full tea service.
Make sure there's no cow pies in the field.
That's right.
This is supposed to be like an upscale kind of gesture for him to show her.
Yeah.
Look at how hoity-toity we are, and this would be like getting a reservation at a nice restaurant or something nowadays.
I mean, it does make sense because he's proposing.
Right. I don't know if back then that's kind of like how you did it. You know what I mean?
Well, I say that meaning kind of like he's, at least in his head, he's going to say, this is how it is. And she's going to say, okay.
Right.
It's not really a request.
Well, he does say here, like, why worry about things? Let your father and
others make up your mind.
Make the plans for you.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is back then it would all be done through the fathers. Even his father would be setting the whole thing up, because it was seen more as a union of family and resources than a love match.
What are
Magua's pronouns are Magua and Magua.
That's right.
And Magua understands.
Yeah, he makes a comment here about, default to the judgment of your father and me if you're so indecisive. It's like, really? Okay.
Yeah, and love will happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's the way it was back, those days. It was a contract, more of a thing than a love.
But things have changed, like, towards the romantic side. Even by the 1930s, when the screenplay was written, it was already, the idea of marriage for romance was well ingrained.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here's where we left off the last time.
Oh, this is as far as you got.
This is as far as we got.
They marched into the forest and lived happily ever after. Nothing bad ever happened to anyone.
Right.
Yeah. And they're still there to this day.
I tried to catch this spot here, but she sees a mountain lion walking through the woods here.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Shortly after, I think, Magua tells them that they're not stopping.
Yeah.
The crazy thing.
Okay, we can keep going.
Crazy thing
a
about
mountain lion here.
The forest and animals and stuff like that is that there are 90% less wild animals in America than there were 100 years ago. So just imagine how many were running around out there.
Yeah, and these this woman here probably has never seen such a thing. Probably doesn't even know what it is. Unless she's seen like a
exactly. I mean, they eradicated wild wolves in England in like the 1600s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of Europe was devoid of large predators by this time. That's why they had to come over here.
I know that for filming, you have to have it cleared, and they definitely would have had a trail of some sort cleared, but the density of the forests.
Yeah.
You think like a dense forest around here, modern times? No, that's not what it would have been like. would have been so much scrub brush they would have had to chop through to get that trail done, and everything to the either side of you would just be green and blackness. You wouldn't be able to see anything through there.
You'll know you're in the woods when you're in the woods. It's like,
yeah,
I love this
fight scene coming up too.
I like how Magwa's like, yeah, you're the slave of your women. Whatever.
What'd you say? Oh, yeah, I understand you.
I speak very good English.
Their laziness.
Yeah, Whitey.
And he's like, Magua understands white man is a dog to his women. Which is kind of funny because some Indians, like, they really respected their women because they were the life givers. They brought life into the world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't even let them be in the same tent when they were discussing war, you know, because it's a.
But this is this guy.
It's interesting.
He's the based.
Yeah, he's the based one.
Yeah.
And he says all this, and the guy's like, "What did you say?" Magua understands very well.
Yeah, right. No, let's not stay here. Let's go up to the area I've chosen to attack and kill you.
Yeah, just a little further.
Yeah, really.
Man, this fight scene is how we beat the British right here.
Oh yeah, total guerrilla warfare.
But this has been effective in Afghanistan. You have
Vietnam.
To go to Vietnam. Yeah, you have to go to extraordinary measures to put down an insurgency, like how the British beat the Boers in 1900s in South Africa.
Yeah,
they literally, and the British invented the concentration camp.
Yes, right. They were the first ones to do that.
And the reason it's called a concentration camp is you concentrate the populace so that you can control them.
Mm-hmm.
You concentrate the people in a camp for concentration.
A lot of people die.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You provide them with food, water, sanitary conditions.
Yeah.
It's just that's.
But why would you?
Well, but that's usually what winds up happening.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the British here. Oh, wait, there's diamonds in South Africa?
Hello.
But if you don't do that, then they can, the enemy can fade away. But really, the reason you do the concentration camp is to prevent the civilian populace from supporting them.
Yeah, they take away their support network.
Right.
Exactly. The families and food and.
Right. Yeah, I love this too. That it just flips to them, and they've picked up a trail of some Huron war party.
Yeah, they're tracking, but you don't exactly know what they're tracking quite yet.
Roman.
But they
tell her that. See what happens. Oh, so the city is I would agree with that.
Well, it's not because you can leave anytime you want.
Nah. But you can check anytime you want, but you can't leave.
Roman, we are here today to mourn the loss of Roman.
Right. He went to the Great War Council in the sky.
Yeah, they're on their way to Kentucky when they run across this trail of this war party. And they're like, what's going on here? And it's very believable too,
And I think because I was scrubbing through this, like watching it like 1.5 times speed, getting ready for the show today, and I didn't notice this the first couple times that I watched this. Is what he's looking at is the moss on the rocks. It's been scraped off.
Yeah.
It's all on it very believable, grounded in reality tracking things that would actually happen.
Yeah, when I was in the Cub Scouts, we learned so much of this stuff from my scoutmaster that I forgot. Like how to cross a river, how to tell north, all that stuff.
They're gonna say when you're in the Air Force, like, no, you didn't do that in the Air Force.
No. I did it in the Scouts.
I believe that. Yes.
What's up, JT?
Hey, JT.
Hey, JT.
Zombie
Yeah, that comes
Box
into play
Review.
later
Hey,
too
man.
when they're tracking people. They look at things,
There's zombie
plants
box
that are
and-
damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's crazy. A lot of this stuff that they're doing here is still taught today, how to track people.
Oh, yeah.
In the military and in people that train to track, escaped convicts and stuff.
Search and rescue,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, stupid hikers that get lost.
Yeah. And there's a lot of hikers that never get found.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
True.
crazy. You got GPS, all kinds of modern stuff.
We heard the one guy that was lost. They kept trying to call his phone. He wouldn't answer his phone.
Oh, because it was an unknown number.
Yeah.
What a clown.
It's like, you take him back out and let him die. Hey, Miss Cannoli.
Hey, Mrs. C.
That's the type of person we don't need. So,
Yeah. And this part too, this guy, he's pulled his tomahawk out and he's walking, and this guy just smiles at him and he's like, bam, right in the side of the head with the tomahawk.
Well, he's supposed to be an ally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of
Isn't he
stands around
supposed to
like,
be leading them to where they're going?
Right.
Yeah,
Which is to a trap.
they don't know
yes,
it.
but I suspension of disbelief for the story, but I have a hard time believing not one guy in that whole march didn't look at him and go, wait, are we supposed to be turning around and following this guy? Why is he going the other direction? And that's probably what went through the mind of the first guy he hit right before he got whacked.
Yeah. Hey, are we supposed to...
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Whack.
I've never seen an Indian before.
Oh, God.
Well, that might very well be the case.
Yeah.
With some of these soldiers, because who
True.
knows where they're from?
Yeah, if they were new to the being deployed over there.
I got to show a little bit of this.
Oh, yeah. Risk it. What?
Oof.
That clunk. Ooh. And I have a tomahawk sitting here, too. Yeah.
Everybody freaks and starts grabbing their guns.
It's not like, the modern tomahawk that's really sharp. It's a blunt. I mean, it's not a sharp edged weapon, It's a blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
I don't know. His looks pretty sharp, though. Maybe he was crazier than most or something.
Yeah.
He had better metal. But
I like that we get just a moment before all hell breaks loose of just utter confusion.
You're like, what's going on?
It's like, I think it's called normalcy bias. When something so far outside of what you expect to happen happens, it takes you much longer than you would think to process it and react.
And that's why these people are like, hey, why is he doing that? And then, yeah.
And then they just line up in formation like they're trained to.
Especially if these are green soldiers.
True.
Then they won't really know how to react. But if they were like, they grew up on the streets of Liverpool, rough and tumble, and then they got doing the army and stuff. Yeah. This probably would have went down a little bit differently.
Yeah. It's like, we're in a fight. Hey, couldn't always say.
But if they don't have forests at this time, they didn't have forests like this in England. So they were in a foreign place to them. They didn't know, kind
of like the Romans and the German forest, the dark deep forest the Germans used to their advantage. The Romans were, used to open fields and that kind of thing, not being stuck in the middle.
Right. You can't let them get into formation. You can't fight them in a European style, or you're just they're really good at that.
Yeah.
But hit and run stuff.
This is exactly what they did fighting the British in the Revolutionary War. It shows it here. The Indians duck and get behind cover when they, order to fire. And it's like they wait till they have to reload and then they attack.
which is exactly what I always thought of when you see a movie like this. Like, wouldn't it be funny if everybody in the Civil War just like ducked at the same time and they shot over
Yeah.
them, everybody popped up and shot back,
The thing about the Revolutionary War is with the hit and run tactics, the Americans learned that from the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
One of these guys attacks one of the officers with a club, which is like a smoothed river rock, and they wrap it in leather and
Yep.
tie it to the end of a stick.
Yeah, that's a
mean,
that's a very traditional and ancient war club kind of thing.
Take care, Roman. He's got to bounce.
Oh, later, Roman. Hey, Cannoli.
Very effective too. Just bring somebody.
Yeah. And this poor guy just whacks him a couple times in the chest, and as he's suffocating, he scalps him.
Yep. Another interesting fact is that prior to Europeans arriving, the Native Americans would not scalp people. It wasn't a thing. How they started doing it is that people were paying them, or whoever, they would put a bounty on Native Americans that they didn't like, and you would bring the scalps in and get paid for it.
Oh.
So that's how it transitioned into the act of scalping.
So they learned it from us.
At least that's what I've been told. Yes. I mean, I read it somewhere.
I mean, and the number of Indians that attacked these British were less than the British.
Oh yeah, but they decimated them.
And their tactics just totally decimated them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, small war parties could just wreak some serious havoc. And then this little war party is even smaller, and they're just mowing them down like there's nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah, the action is really good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a shame that we can't get away with playing that whole attack. It's fantastic.
It's great. And I like when Magua is about to shoot the oldest daughter here.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to, shoot him, and the Magua turns the gun on him, and he ducks and fires, and then by the time the smoke clears, Magua's gone. Great.
Yeah, you see Lance was just moving because he just bailed.
Ladies, how do you like your experience with the wilderness and the savages? Still excited?
So what is this thing made out of? Is it like an elk horn, or is it metal? Or
it's wood. It's wood.
Is it wood? I thought it was metal.
No, it's wood. It's Indians saw the stock of a rifle and kind of modeled it after the rifle, but it's got like spikes on it.
Are those wooden
stab
spikes?
With? No, those are actual metal.
Okay, so it's got it's basically like a wooden frame with metal stuff in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was like. I first thought
it was
the
Gunstock Club.
Okay. At first, I thought it was like a metal, like some kind of a weird axe. But I thought, well, maybe it's like an moose horn or some big antler.
And, I can see an Indian for the first time having a rifle and going to smack somebody with it, and it just breaks in half. And they're like, I could make that better. I could make a club better than that.
I would hate to be hit by that thing.
Yeah.
It is like damaging. This guy messes people up.
Oof.
And it's the way that it's the edge of it is carved. The edge of it is carved out,
and
it's like notched, so it'll grab and maul when you hit somebody with it.
Yeah, when you pull it out, it really does more damage.
Yeah. Hey, you're bumming. Yeah, and I love that part. It shows him, he throws it, and then you see it impact the other guy. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, just like whoosh, nails him, puts him right in the ground.
The thing I like about him and Hawkeye and Uncas, that's his son's name, is they're always moving when they're fighting. They're always in motion. Like they're never just standing around, you know. They're always running somewhere, and that's just it. They run everywhere when they move.
Yeah, and it shows the son here. He's fighting an Indian, and Duncan picks up a gun, is about to shoot him. It's like, you don't know who's who. Don't shoot anybody.
Yeah, let me hit this gun in case your aim is any better than your judgment.
Yeah, that's the line. I was trying to remember it.
Yeah. And I love that they just kind of ignore Duncan and the girls, right? And they're talking in their language, and they scare the horses off and stuff.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't have any chimps with them then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like how he's like, why did he do that? I said, why didn't he ask him? You know? Like,
yeah.
Horses can be tracked. Make a lot of noise.
Yeah,
it's
like,
pretty.
And it's like perfect English.
Yeah, the combat in this is pretty like violent and brutal.
Yeah, realistic too.
Basically hand-to-hand combat most of the time.
The younger sister, she winds up playing Queen Calanthe in
The Witcher.
The Witcher, yeah, the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was pretty good in that role. She doesn't have a lot of lines in this one, I don't think. She just kind of stands there looking kind of
mopey,
spaced out or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of what
and checking out the Indian dude.
Yeah, I think most of her stuff got cut because I think she was pretty much just there as a secondary romance arc.
Oh, do you think she had more lines and they cut a lot?
Well, when I looked into this, her and Uncas were supposed to have a lot more of an active back and forth, like development of a romantic relationship.
Right.
But they felt that it took away from the main story, so they cut almost all of it, which is why like later we see him kind of looking at her the way that Nathaniel looks at Cora later, and there's some looks here and there between those two, but yeah, for the most part their storyline just got cut.
I don't think it ruined it because it would have been nice to see more, but I think it worked. You could tell that there was no attraction.
Yeah.
And you know that kind of stuff was like kind of a forbidden thing back then. So for the most part, especially if she's upper class or whatever.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, we'll take you as far as the fort, and they move on. I love this scene, walking up the waterfall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where we get that first look between Uncas and Alice. I keep forgetting her name.
Yeah, look at that shot. Look how awesome that looks.
Like just taking that landscape and using it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes. All wild. No roads. No, bridges or anything. It's just, you want to go somewhere, you got to foot it.
Yeah, I think originally they asked Nathaniel like how far, and he says what, like a night and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's assuming that they're spending most of the time actually moving.
Right.
American Jungle Love. That's right, Steven.
Oh God.
And there it is. She's like eyeing the Indian dude. It's like, oh, he's good looking.
White women are kryptonite.
He's already saved them, right? Part of the group that saved them. They're capable. They know what they're doing. She's lost. She's scared. She doesn't know what's going on. And you have this guy leading. They know what they're doing. They've got a plan. They know where to go. I mean, that's everything that I've been told that women want.
Yeah.
Right. In a man.
And even Duncan didn't know what's going on. He's oblivious to things.
clueless. He's a prat.
But if these roles were reversed and they were on High Street in London, he would be the one that was
Mhm.
the
Oh,
guy that knew
absolutely.
what was going on
Yeah,
and where to
yeah.
go and how to navigate. So
Yeah.
You know,
He's
at
like,
some point, I would think that one of those three would tell him to ditch that red jacket.
could you
I
get
don't
rid
think
of
he
that,
would,
please?
but I
Like
think somebody would have said it.
Kind of standing out there, and
That's-
you know.
that is just. I mean, okay, if you're talking about like European warfare and you're fighting the French out in the open, yeah, okay, wear red. That's great. They're the reason they wear red is so they don't show any blood. You know, if they're killed or anything.
well, I also saw a video that when they switched to red way back in the 16th century, at that time, it was the cheapest dye to make. So red, you could outfit an entire army much cheaper just by
So
putting them
that's
in
what they
red.
thought of their military. Oh, they
Well,
can just wear
because it
this
didn't
cheap
really
red.
matter. You wanted it to stand out so you could tell who was who.
Yeah,
And there was no hiding. They weren't like, oh, we're going to hide in the
yeah.
weeds.
It's
There was no
completely,
camouflage or any of that
yeah,
stuff. So it didn't really matter
completely,
what color it was, just
yeah,
as long as it
completely
was
different
affordable.
kind of warfare. And the French are wearing like a really light blue color,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and they're smart enough in this not to wear blue. You know, I mean, the officers still wear blue, but
Well, the other thing about red is you could see it from coming from a long distance. And if you had a
yeah,
large force, it could be very intimidating. That's
right,
also why they wore the big bear hat things to make them, or the Hessians wore the big hat. It's to make them look taller.
yeah.
So they look more intimidating and it's more scary.
I like the
And
Dutch. They
to
had the orange.
what gets me is Magua. If he was spotted by a, you know, a Mohawk or a Mohican, they would recognize him right away that he was not a Mohawk. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of playing a big gamble there by going into. I mean, we find out later that he killed a runner that was bringing a message, and he took his place.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, he
yeah,
said that he was a slave of the Mohawk and became blood
right,
brothers with him to get freedom. So he probably knew how to dress and talk and
yeah,
pass as a Mohawk.
And we just kind of glossed over it, but Cora did pick up a pistol out of
right.
that last battle.
Which she will use later on.
Yes.
She has some common sense.
And I love that he says here, being a scout, how is it you're going to Kentucky? And he's like, well, you face north and you do a quick turn to the
Kind of sudden turn to the left.
yeah.
I love that line.
Such a cool shot of the river running by there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll skip a little ahead. So then they show it back to that farm from the beginning.
Yeah. A little different
And
this time.
the father is at Fort what's the name of the fort?
I don't remember.
Fort William or Henry?
Fort Henry, that's right. So the father's at Fort Henry fighting for the British, and the Indians Huron War Party attacked his house and killed everybody.
Killed his wife and kid and
2 kids.
Yeah, I think
There's
he
a
said
little girl,
specifically with this one. He says because he looked at the footprints. He says I think Ottawa and 2 French.
Oh, that's right, Ottawa.
Because it's Ottawa, Huron, and a couple others that are allied with the French.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, right. So yeah, and two, the British people think, oh well, we need to bury these poor people, and they don't realize we were just attacked by a bunch of Indians. We could still be being tracked.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, not only would that just take
I
forever
can
to leave you as a sitting duck.
Mm-hmm.
just imagine the pain of knowing someone and having to just leave their bodies like that.
Yeah, because they don't want people to know they've been there, and they don't have time to linger. They got to get going.
You also notice that everything of value is still present.
They mention that too, that all the clothes and mirrors and everything of value was there. So that's why they knew it was like a full-on war party and not a raid. If they're doing that, then they're going all up and down the frontier, hitting all the places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how he marks out the footprint too. And this, he hadn't really said much to the women yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this part. He's like, as they're leaving, she's like, your indifference to these people. And I love how he, she thinks he's going to come back and just smack her or something. But he's like, in a very British way, says, Miss, they are not strangers and they stay where they lie.
Yep, and this right here, this is where she gets sucked in.
It's like, oh.
Yep.
Exactly.
Strong male.
Yep.
A toxic masculinity works again.
Yep. Enough of that beta male, Duncan.
But by him saying that, he's actually being vulnerable to her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. See, guys,
we
you
don't
can
get
be
the
vulnerable
details
without being a simp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just a little goes a long way.
Yeah, let's her, but just also us. I mean, we already saw that, but it's just nice little nod, and she won't get the details until later, but she's starting to see him more than just like a kind of violent pseudo-native.
Yeah, and this is crazy. You're only seeing what your eye would see right here, the moonlight hitting the leaves and stuff.
That's now cool. They make it CGI night.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, it's horrible.
Film it on volume, one of those volume sets.
It's even worse. I'm sick of the volume.
Yeah. I mean, I think the volume has its place for certain things, but not the entire movie.
Yeah, right, really? Whose bright idea was that? Oh, yeah.
So this is where she gets the details of the names of the people that they had just left behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she learns Nathaniel's story and how he came to be living with his adopted father.
Yeah. And how they learned English at a school.
Mm-hmm.
And I like too that they're where they're laying here is a burial ground.
Yeah.
So the Indians that are tracking them won't go in because they're superstitious. They won't go in this graveyard.
Yeah, and the Frenchman's trying to get them to go, and they're like, no,
not there. Bad mojo there.
They picked their camp spot pretty well.
Smart move.
Now that raises the question: if a Native American hangs out on a Native American burial ground, does anything bad happen to them? Do they?
Well, I assumed that they knew where they was a burial ground for one of the groups that was chasing them specifically.
Yeah, so they wouldn't.
It might not have been so much of a superstition thing, but out of matter of respect.
Yes,
they won't tread on their own ancestors. but they would maybe not hesitate to tread on the ancestors of their enemy.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how I took it.
Right. I like this part too. They're walking up. They're getting closer to the fort, and Duncan is like, "Your every want will be taken care of." And I'm like, "Have you seen this place? It's a fort. It's a
I
wood
know, right?
fort.
Pretty much
It's
creature
not a
comforts.
mansion out in the middle of nowhere." And
Oh,
it really is. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
mhm.
It's to protect a river.
Yeah, it's an outpost.
It's an outpost.
It's funny because they get there, they have no idea it's under siege until they get close enough to. Oh dear, it's on fire.
The reveal is fantastic.
Yeah, they've got the rockets and the bombards and stuff going off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the real practical explosions and effects, just lighting everything up.
Yep, cannon fire and
so good. I honestly think that my favorite scene of this is everything from the reveal of the siege of the fort, and then you get the pan across the battlements.
Mm-hmm.
That's just everything there is just really, really good.
You see him digging the trenches to bring the
right
motors up, and it's a full-on battlefield. You got digging and cannon and fire and people moving stuff around all over the place.
It's so much practical stuff with people running and actual explosions going off.
Yeah, today this is always CGI people, cut and pasted everywhere, and
they'd film like 6 people up close, and everybody else would be computer.
Yeah. So I love the part where they put the sheepskin on top of the thing to cool it a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until recently, and I was kind of confused. Do you think it's to cool it or to keep a stray ember from flying in?
I think it's to keep stray embers out of it.
Yeah, I think it's
so it doesn't go off. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure at what point that was, so I had to back it up and see if they had actually loaded it.
See, I think they're using illumination flares, right?
Mm-hmm.
They shoot them, and then it has a little parachute or whatever as it goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to look up when those were invented, but I couldn't seem to find it. But that's always, whenever you see a war movie that has those, that really gives it an eerie, ghost-like feel to it.
Hey, Napoleon, how you doing?
Hey, Napoleon.
And I know that they had them in World War I, and you would use it. They used them all the way up until, I think they still use them now if they really want to. But with night vision goggles, you really don't use it that much.
Mm-hmm.
But Vietnam, that was another time they used illumination flares all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot more in the Pacific War.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they used it more in World War II.
Yeah.
You see one of those floating down, and it focuses in on one of the British officers, and he's looking for which direction to go, and he makes those adjustments to the cannon.
Yeah, then it does almost nothing because they have so much dirt in front of it that they're protected. Yeah. And they wait until they're done, like, okay, everybody start back and digging.
Right. Yeah. What they're doing is they're digging a trench line to get close enough to the fortification so they can bring their mortars up. And then once the mortars can shoot up and over the wall, there's no protection on the inside, right? Yeah. And it'll be over. So.
And this was an actual battle portrayed here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little thing that nobody really cares about, I'm sure. But instead of ready, aim, fire, they say, prepare, point, fire.
Yeah, it wasn't until the Americans really started using rifles that they were the first people to say aim in their manual of arms, because they actually thought about accuracy. Whereas before it was just volume of fire.
Just point it in the general direction of the bad guy.
Ready, present, fire.
Okay.
And if you see movies with like archers and stuff, they never said fire. They said loose. Fire comes from putting a match.
Fire, actual fire
to like the 16th century arquebus. It had a burning wick, and then you put that in the pan. This is pre-flintlock. No one had figured out how to use flintlock yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's where you get the command fire from, is you're putting fire to the powder.
Yeah. I love how they enter the fort. They
Mm-hmm.
like get a canoe and they like get low down in it and
Swim alongside of it and just kind of.
Yeah.
You know, that overhead shot when they're first walking in with the torches, the actress playing Cora nearly takes a fire straight to the face. You can see her kind of duck out of the way.
Hey, Miss Martin.
Hey there, Miss Martin.
This is some bright torches. Yeah, they come inside and it's like organized chaos. The place is getting bombed.
And yeah,
they're shooting back. People are getting killed.
Who this is.
Yep.
Forget his name.
Oh, he's been in everything.
Yeah.
He passed away, sadly, but.
Yeah.
Is that, I've got the IMDb looking at the pictures. Is that Pete Postlethwaite?
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Captain Beams.
Yep.
He definitely
was
has a
in
distinctive
the
look.
Usual Suspects.
Oh yeah, he was Mr. Kobayashi.
He was in all,
The Usual Suspects. It's another good movie.
Yeah.
Their dad sees him and is like, "Why did you come, girls? I told you not to."
Why did you defy me?
Yeah, they must have grown up with a British mother because they don't have his accent.
No, not at all. They find out that all the
that other officer before they left New York was like that Scottishman out there. You know, they were making fun of the Scott.
Then he finds out his couriers have been killed, and nobody even knows he's under attack. We're supposed to send reinforcements, and
this is 46. This is only like 11 years after Culloden, where Stuart tried to take back the throne of Scotland.
Yeah,
the Jacobite rebellion. So if you were Scottish back then, you were not very looked upon, unless you could prove that you were on the right side.
A lowlander. It was all the Highlanders that were Jacobite.
All the lowlanders were pretty much British.
Yep. As a matter of fact,
Protestant.
Bayonets were still relatively a new invention by this point.
They had sabers and.
Well, they had plug bayonets before that, but it was the Highland Wars that really drove the invention of the bayonet. In order to, because what they would do is they'd fire a volley and then charge with their shields and claymores.
Yeah.
And they only had a couple of pikemen in between each musketeer, right? And so they had to use their muskets like clubs, and it wasn't very effective. So what they wound up doing is when you were able to put a bayonet on it, now it became a spear. Every person was a pikeman, and when they would charge, then you now had a defense against it. And so that's why the bayonet became a lot more prevalent. But by this point, the bayonet was maybe only 30 or 40 years old by that point. So it was still relatively new.
Hey, Dempsey.
Yeah, the lighting on these shots are great.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fire and candlelight and...
Then all they ask for is just a little bit of gunpowder and some food.
Yeah. And he's like, they say that, the people on the frontier are getting attacked. They need their people back to protect them. And he won't let them go. He won't let the men go.
Yeah. He's like, and? So?
Yeah, right.
So.
Oh, that's terrible. And...
it's kind of at this point where he has somebody go get a change of clothes for his daughters. But I was kind of wondering if we actually were going to see Cora use that gun. But I think it makes it a little bit more interesting that she, even when she thought she was in a safe-ish place, still kept it on her.
Yeah. I think she kind of realized there's nowhere safe here.
Yeah, this part too. The French commander is listening to Indian kids singing, and they're like from a
Yeah, they're
church, a
from a
Catholic church or something.
right,
Yeah.
from a Indian school.
Yeah,
Right, like a mission church or whatever.
and there's Magua.
He tells him about how he had the children of Monroe under his knife, and they will be again.
Yeah, and he's like, when Magua sees Monroe, I will cut out his heart.
So this is where he talks about how because Monroe killed his family.
Right.
No,
Right.
not
No?
this one.
Oh, this is
Later in the woods they do.
okay.
Because the French commander actually asked him about that. He says, "Why do you hate the gray hair so much?" And he doesn't say anything. It's later that he gets the story from him that Monroe commanded an attack on his village and killed his kids, and he got captured and became a slave, and that's why he wants him dead, and his seed too. He wants to let him know that before he kills him, he wants to let him know that he's going to kill his daughters too. He's going to wipe out his whole line.
Yeah.
Such a disparity watching these two characters talk between Magua and the French commander.
Yeah, Magua is all like few words, very to the point. The commander's being more diplomatic, a lot more, it's one of those things where the higher education you have, the more words you use.
Yeah.
You talk to an ancient warrior about how the battle went. It went good. We killed them all. That kind of thing. Then the higher ups are like, pontificating and poetrizing the whole thing.
Yeah, we see
So,
Nathaniel come in there in that last scene, and he grabs a piece of cloth and starts cutting it up. And then we find out later it's silk.
Mm-hmm. He says he
Which
gets an
makes-
extra 40 yards or something.
Yeah, it makes
How?
for good, because it creates a good seal around the shot.
Oh,
So
okay.
no extra gas.
It's a much finer thread. So it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't let gas go around it. It holds it tighter. So you get an extra 10 or 20 yards out of it?
I think the technical term is it gives you more oomph.
Yes.
More bang for your wadding.
So yeah, so they hatch a plan to help these men escape to get back to the frontier to protect the people there.
Yeah, they're gonna sedition. They're gonna bail.
Well, this is where they're finding out about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they plan, I think this is where they plan to meet with some others to kind of make the decision on what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then, dark. Okay, yeah, that's the runner.
So dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the runner.
Can you imagine
that
how
was a great scene there.
my eyesight has never been that good enough to use iron sights on a musket and shoot somebody running, how many hundreds of yards away?
Yeah.
But there were people who could actually do this.
Well, his
At
name
night.
is Hawkeye.
I know.
Yeah.
And doesn't he has multiple rifles preloaded?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to need to fire too quickly between shots. Now, they don't really touch on it in the movie. Maybe they do in the book, but is that where he gets the term long rifle? Or they just know that there's somebody out there that can shoot from great distances that is their enemy that they have termed long rifle? Or is that just something that has kind of evolved over time because he's been a pain in their butt for so long?
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah.
Has anybody read the book in the chat, guys?
Wait, so he has a nickname, Long Rifle?
Yeah, that comes into play later on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the allied tribes with the French have someone they just call the long rifle. And so I don't know if it was from that instance where their people were getting picked off trying to chase down this runner, or if it was something that he's just been a thorn in their side for so long, but they haven't been able to identify him.
Huh. Yeah, Matt says this is the second book. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because they don't really touch on it here, but it plays a key point right there near the end.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just kind of comes out of left field.
Yeah, Lon Carbine.
Yeah.
Also, they call him.
So anyway, derailed a little bit. That's one of the questions that I had for this.
Good question. Yeah, this part they're saying they need to get back to the frontier to protect people, and he doesn't care. He's just like, no, nobody gets out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he probably does have a reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, they're trying to explain to him, like, yeah, it doesn't matter if we leave. Your fort's going to fall or stand due to reinforcements. And this guy's like, I don't care. Nobody's leaving. I'll hang you if you try or shoot you.
Yeah.
You'll be hanged for sedition or shot for desertion.
Yeah, exactly.
Heck of a choice.
Yeah.
This is also, I think, shortly after or soon where we get Duncan just lying for the sake of being loyal to the British military.
And jealous too.
He realizes, well, that comes later, but yeah, he really is like, no, it wasn't. It was just Indian being. Yeah. People need to stay in their place, which is right here.
So they go tell everybody, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna leave. And except for Nathaniel, he's like, I've got other reasons to stay.
Those reasons want to wear a striped dress and work in the surgery.
Yeah. It's a good line.
Yeah.
So so this is after the
escape,
I guess call it like the other guys have run off. There was this sort of a pseudo party or something. I guess in those instances you got to do anything to keep morale up. And he and Cora kind of found a little corner for themselves.
Yes. So yeah, they get arrested here and
Leather Stocking Tales.
Yes.
I've got to read this sometime. Yeah, they take him because he talks about sedition and the guy's presence.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows he's the one that did it.
Yeah.
And Nathaniel talks his brother and his father down. Yeah, that right there. This fight is not yours. And what's going on is just so far removed from anything that his father has normally seen. That's why he just keeps saying, what are they going to do to my white son?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is where Duncan lies.
Yeah.
It's where he gets called out for lying.
I don't remember through the time of the first.
Oh, what? I wish I could remember that line, but she just tears him down. Something like, you have few admirable qualities, but I see now it was a mistake to trust you or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Just calls him out.
Yeah.
He's a total shitheel.
Yeah.
He lied. He, tried to talk her down like, when we're married, don't worry. You'll forget all about these people. They're nothing.
Yeah. He still thinks he got a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Talk about a simp.
She's already been in the presence of Chad Hawkeye.
Right.
And they call her out for like being sent to plead his case, and like, no, you think he would send me?
He's a real man.
Yeah.
Yep. This right here should tell him that he's already lost her to him. If she's coming in here on her own accord,
and he knows it too. He's like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah. He yells out something like, "It's only because you become infatuated with something like that." You see the jealousy start to come out.
Yeah.
Oh. Duncan
Yeah.
is actually rather likable in the book. Huh. You know, I'm actually gonna write this down.
Yeah.
I know what to look up later.
Yeah, right, really. Yeah, they make a lot of changes, for contrivances and stuff because you do hate this guy. That's the difference between a movie and a book. Books you have a much more time to do
So you have.
things.
So here you got the red coats and blue coats.
I love how the French commander doffs his cap, does
Yeah,
this,
just
woof, 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 and
blows it
then
all over the very, very flamboyant, and the British officer just takes his cap off.
I mean, I'm sure that's playing into some stereotypes, but it worked for me.
Yeah, it did. It worked.
yeah, man, says a lot of this movie takes its tone from the 30s adaptation of the novel, which, yeah.
I forgot about that. I did read that previously. I had completely forgotten.
Yeah, it's like the British are like, how many times did he practice that in the mirror?
Yeah, right, really. And I'm just going to take my hat off, tuck it.
So he says something here like the French guy, like, we'll let you and your men go, but you have to go back to England. You can't fight on this continent ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they both know that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just like a
These are pretty good surrender
formal
terms,
thing.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
Well,
You
they
get to
let him
keep
keep their weapons
and their colors with their
Yep.
honor, and
Yeah,
just
because
leave.
Monroe is expecting the worst, basically. And the French commander's just like, no, you just have to go. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was his orders: just get them off the land.
Yep.
Not slaughter them, just get them out.
Yeah.
But he knows. Yeah, I'll probably see these people again. So.
But the Indians wanted to paint their tomahawks red in blood, so
Yeah,
that was their honor. They needed their honor.
I'm sure this whole thing is totally foreign to them. These people who are fighting to the death a few hours ago
Yeah.
are now like standing right next to each other and practically kissing. You people are mad.
So this is where he's
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking to Magua, and he tells the story of his village.
So I was a little confused with this scene on if the French commander was basically saying like, well, I did what I had to do. You do what you need to do. And he knows what's going on. Or if he was actually attempting to kind of talk him out of it out of like respect for the British troops. But I kind of lean more on the it's out of my hands. It's up to you now.
I think that's he knew.
He knew that that like you guys were saying that chances are they weren't going to go back to England. So if this guy wants to go attack him, fine. He did his thing. His honor's clean. But if they get wiped out, well, that's one less thing he's got to worry about later.
Well, so much
Yeah.
better for me.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's so. He's trying to pacify him too, because this Indian, the native, is like, "What are you doing?" It's like my father told me, my French father told me to remove them off the land. That's it. I can't kill these people. I've taken terms. My hands are done. You, on the other hand, are not bound by that. So tomorrow at 6 a.m., when they march through this exact spot, what happens. You know what I'm saying, buddy?
Yeah. And there's a lot more Indians in this attack than there were in that smaller fight earlier.
Oh yeah, by far. And then this is where Magua tells him how Monroe was the father of all his woe. Got his kids were killed. He was holding slavery. His wife was the wife of another man now because she thought he was dead. He's gonna kill him.
Yep.
Here they are.
This long procession of the
yeah, Matt.
coming
Yeah,
out of the
this
fort
is a
too.
whole part of that. Like, what is it called? The code of conduct. There's like a whole,
Code of chivalry.
rules
Code of
that.
chivalry.
Yes, exactly. You can't just kill officers and women and stuff. You'd be ruined. You could
Yeah.
never go home to polite society. You're basically going to be banished to whatever the outermost realm is.
Like in the Patriot, where
Yep.
he's
Jason
like,
Isaac's
you
character
can't
can
go,
never.
you can't
Yeah.
go killing officers. It'll leave the men without leadership, which is exactly the point.
Yeah, that guy was like in a real battle. Yeah, but if like all of a sudden these people were killed in a Native American attack, well, that's got nothing to do with me. These people don't, follow my orders. We offered terms, they accepted. We, saluted them as they left. We took care of their wounded. The frontier is a dangerous place. What are you going to do?
Yeah. There's all the Indians picking out, I want that, I'm going to get that guy, and I'll get that guy.
See you later.
Soon.
Exactly. I kind of the very end of this possession, they're marching out the prisoners. There's like 2 or 3 of them in shackles.
Yeah.
For whatever crimes they've allegedly did.
Well, Nathaniel's locked up because they still plan on trying and hanging him.
Yeah.
So some of the settlers took their families with them to the fort.
Also, a lot of those soldiers, if they could, there would be women that were attached to the army.
They did the laundry and such.
Yeah, they did the laundry. That was a big thing. They would get paid for it, and some of the soldiers were allowed to bring their families.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but usually the wife was then employed by the regiment for those types of tasks.
Yeah, cook,
mainly
cleaning.
doing the laundry, because that was real important for health and hygiene.
Yeah.
And I love this too. They start hearing things, in the woods, and then just this one lone Indian runs out.
And
He's
just
like,
wham!
Whacks that guy. Counting some coup there.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of like, what?
Yeah, that confusion sets in again.
Yeah, it's like they can't realize it's about to happen. Yeah, they form ranks and shoot off that way.
Just a small section of the column too. That's so the whole column is getting attacked here.
Yeah, the front of the column doesn't know what's going on in the back, and vice versa usually, unless it's. Some of the smart people know what's about to happen. Yeah, you're right. The numbers are really. Hey, Flaccid.
Hey, Flaccid.
He brought the whole group.
They didn't have a chance to form squares. If they could have formed a square, they would have been much better off.
Yeah, but they picked that part was long and skinny and drew them out, thinned them.
And this has been a battle tactic for centuries too. With the Romans, the Germanic tribes did it to the Romans. They brought them in, got them into the woods, and picked them apart.
Well, in this instance, I think they thought they were cool because they just did the peace treaty. So they thought, we'll just be able to roll through here. No one's going to attack us or anything. If they thought for a second they were going to be attacked by Indians, they would have totally done that column differently, I think.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. They just surrendered. They got terms. We're leaving. They didn't expect this.
And they went all out.
Yep.
They brought a lot of people.
And notice how all of them have firearms.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like 1 or 2 that they'd picked up somewhere. They all had guns.
Yep. They're armed.
The French traded weapons and stuff with them for furs, and
which shows you how
rights to trap on their land.
Which shows you how smart and adaptable they were. They could see the value of a gun, what its value was, learn to use it very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's gonna
And then
happen.
they do something that the Confederate soldiers did. They start screaming and hollering like
Mm-hmm.
coyotes.
Yeah, they
And they're
get
like,
that.
what is going on?
Scares the bejesus out of them.
It was a pretty scary scene. And I like how it's one or two rifles shoot at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then more, and the volume picks up as people start shooting more and more. But the thing is that, and you notice that once those first volleys are done, they immediately rush out,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have a
Yeah.
chance to reload.
Yeah, they don't want to give them that chance. They're on them,
And
swarming.
how fast a battlefield just fills with smoke.
Yeah, the gunpowder is just you can't even see half the time after the first volley goes off.
Yeah, once you had about 3 volleys done, you totally couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm. So you got a good windy day.
Right, right.
Now, something here, you can see them flipping their musket over
Mm-hmm.
to use as a club. I mean, a musket was a lot heavier built than a rifle. A rifle was a lot, thinner at the neck and would break if you tried that.
I guess some of these guys didn't have bayonets. Maybe they were actual rifles, but it wouldn't matter. You can still put a bayonet on it.
Yeah,
Um, but a bayonet is much more effective than using it like a club.
yeah,
You got
I think
length, you
definitely.
can fend with it.
I think a lot of these people, look like they're getting ready for a tomahawk attack because they were like using a rifle as like a block.
Maybe.
I mean, the that way to fight with a bayonet and your rifle. I mean, you could stab with it or hit them with the butt of the rifle or musket, whatever.
Yeah, if you're trained to use it, it can be a very effective weapon.
Yeah,
It's basically a
yeah.
spear.
Is this for Monroe? No. It's a
Not
little bit
not
later.
yet.
Yeah, not quite.
Oh yeah, they're in the full of the thick of it now. Hand-to-hand combat, tomahawks and rifle butts and
From every single direction.
yep,
Yep.
both sides and in the middle, and they got in there and mixed it up with them. They couldn't form any kind of a cohesive fighting. It was just every man for himself. That must have been scary as hell in a battle like that.
Yeah, this scene is where she uses that pistol.
Oh yeah.
Also, you can see Alice start to more mentally break than she already is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh, we're
Yeah.
getting attacked by Indians again.
I know. This never ends.
I do like the part where the Indian has what's her name, the older sister, and he comes running up with the tomahawk and just whack right in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hits him so hard the guy's dead and didn't even know it.
So here's Monroe here.
He takes out this guy with his sword. Yeah, he just shoots. This guy hops on the back of his horse. He takes his pistol and blasts him in the back,
Then his horse gets shot out from under him,
and then he's
and his
pinned.
foot's caught.
And Mogwai kicks one guy off of him. He's like, nope, he's mine. And they form like a little protective bubble around him because he wants to have a little chat with this guy before he kills him.
Yeah, I love this shot here. He's stuck. I mean, he can't do anything, and this guy just carves his heart out, and you see his foot squirming, and then just goes loose. Ooh,
Brutal.
yeah.
There's his heart.
Ooh, and there it is. Yeah, gonna cook it up with a lot nice Chianti and fava beans.
Yeah, right. Really. That's what you get. That's what you get. Oh yeah.
There it comes.
I love the fighting style they do. They take out your hamstring. You know,
Yeah,
you're like body clock them, then you get behind them and zip it up back to the legs that takes them out.
yeah.
And this guy's got
You
kind of
see
like
this
a
this yeah, he's got another gunstock club. Oh, there it
wham.
is. Wham. Get to see the end of it.
The other thing
Yeah.
about this scene is just the noise that's going on in the background. In a lot of movies, they would like cut the sound out, but they don't really do that. So you can still hear like everybody yelling and fighting.
Firing, screen,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
war whoops, and the
Yeah, instead of a dramatic score taking over, they just let
yes,
the chaos sink in.
yes, and it makes it even more powerful. You know, you're actually hearing a battle, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, yeah,
And so
that's
that
right,
path,
Ubaldo.
yeah.
You hamstring them, they're done. They ain't gonna chase you or
No.
stand.
Yeah. Remember, you don't have to be faster than the fastest runner. You just have to be faster than the slowest runner
Yeah.
to get away.
Right. So that trail they were walking on, was like skirting the river. So the river's like right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, it's gonna come up short in the other world. And they don't realize that the one guy's already gone. He's got a canoe out there with a couple of people in it. And they got a wounded soldier.
Yeah.
And they get through the mist and the gunfire smoke. And the major's about here it is, yeah. He doesn't realize who it is yet. But then you can tell he kind of like hesitates. Like, I got a
It's you.
dead
I'm gonna.
shot.
Oh wait, you have what's her name?
He was
Yeah,
pretty close to doing it.
it's like, oh, you were the hero again. You saved the ladies again, but I'm still going to hang you.
Yep.
Or
He even
shoot
says
you.
them that too. When we get back, you're still going to get hanged. Now the paddle race is on.
Yeah, that whole scene reminds me, if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, they have you can do the canoe paddling where they look like kind of like this, and then
Yeah.
you have the paddles and
I
the
vaguely remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did it, and then you see the steamboat going around as well. But it was a lot of fun doing that.
I don't know. Does one of the canoes like get overtaken and they kill everybody in it? I almost thought there was like 3 canoes. No.
No, it was just the
Okay.
two.
I like how they
Oh.
go over the river or the waterfall.
I remember where I did it now. It was Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, huh.
So yeah, I rode in an Indian canoe in Japan.
Well, they're far more racist than we are, so they still have those.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've removed those by now from everybody in North America.
I love
Oh,
this.
yeah.
For a split second, you think they're going to go down that waterfall too, and they're like, "No, we'll stop here."
Yeah, it looks like they are going to do it. And the last second, they ditch off into the shore. Yep, there it is.
Yep.
Like Boromir over the waterfall.
Yep. Yeah, I kept watching that Lord of the Rings vibe when I was watching this.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense not only because that's a giant one that'll probably kill you, but if you dumped everything at the first waterfall, then might think, hey, we need to get out here and look. But if they happen to see you go over the first one, they might think that you went over the second one, even though it's crazy.
Yeah.
But they tracked them pretty easily, though. They
Yeah.
really didn't have much of a respite.
I do like this scene where they're behind the waterfall.
Yeah, this is really cool. Like behind the waterfall, like any video game ever. If it's an open world, you always got to check behind the waterfall.
Yep.
The secret cave or whatever.
Oh yeah, Sniper Elite 5. There's a part of that too. You go behind the waterfall to find a missing POW.
Yeah.
So they're hoping they'll just continue on downriver, thinking they went over the waterfall.
Or will spread out into the woods thinking that they are continuing to run.
Right.
But I'm assuming like Magua and the other ones know that those two ladies aren't going to be able to keep up with the pace of any of the other natives.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think that they knew that this was a dead end.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. Thought they could just run in here and maybe find a way out or whatever.
Yeah, I'd be like, wait, why don't we all just jump? I would rather jump than get killed by Indians.
Yeah, especially the other British soldiers. You would have thought they would have been like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if Matt's still in the chat, maybe he can clue us in on some book knowledge. But yeah, some of the logic here in this scene just doesn't mesh right with what we've seen.
Yeah.
Because Magua seemed to be willing to kill those two kind of on sight, but it's instead of capture. So why would you leave them to just hopefully be captured?
Yeah, exactly. You're pretty sure he killed their dad, so they're next.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I was thinking earlier today, because I know that question bothered me the first time we tried this, is you could logic it out that he was going to kill them and then take some evidence of it to show to Monroe before he killed him. But since he's already killed Monroe, why bother going through with that? Now use them as bargaining chips to get some of your status back.
He presented them to the Chief Sechin as, trophies.
Yeah.
I've got valuable hostages or prisoners.
Oh.
So Matt's saying Monroe lived in the novel.
Okay. I guess that might give a little bit more credence to my idea that he wanted to kill them in front of him or something.
Yeah, so show them their heads or.
If I was that last British guy or soldier that was with him, I was like, I'd jump because they don't. They just come in and just kill that guy.
And the other wounded guy too. It's like,
yeah, because we don't want those guys. We just want the others.
Yeah, they took a real big chance leaving all of them.
Yeah.
Hoping that they would take them north. Yeah, if I were the girls, I would have jumped too. Just try and get down the river or something.
I mean, better to jump into the river than where they jump later on.
Yeah, right, really.
Right.
If they've all gone together, maybe they would have avoided that whole situation.
But I know, like Steven's pointing out, it's like, I know they're doing things for drama's sake. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But as many little things, it's like, we'll occasionally poke holes in this. This is still a fantastic movie and worth the watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, we get this line here. I will find you.
No matter how far.
I will find you.
He's like, jumps through the waterfall. Woo! Geronimo.
Oh, yeah, there's a big thing. They're talking about how their powder's all wet. They had no way of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your powder dry, guys. That's, yep.
And there they go. Oh.
Guess we just have to read those novels, huh, Matt?
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Yeah, this dude.
A red shirt, no less. Oh, we should have seen that coming.
Red shirt.
Dead and dead. And he doesn't have a red shirt on anymore. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I see your blood now. Haha.
I guess those other guys must have just been grunts, and it wouldn't have had the value of capturing an officer like Duncan.
The one guy was wounded. He wasn't going to last anyway. So.
Yeah, he would just slow him down.
Yeah. Beautiful scenery again.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
That was too far. So I like this part. It shows them going through all these places, and then they come behind them and like seeing where they went and tracking them. Cool.
Yeah, one of the dark-haired sister actually kind of puts herself in the bushes and breaks them a little bit.
Yeah.
So that the leaves fall. So that gives them like a trail. There it is.
She's being clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you lazy, clumsy white people.
I wonder if that, they didn't pick up on it. I wonder if that kind of is an intentional nod to when Nathaniel was talking to her about how his father told him, don't try to understand them or make them understand you.
Mm-hmm.
So their worlds are so completely different. They just think she's clumsy. Couldn't possibly be smart enough to be leaving a trail.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Many of the English are dead.
Session. Yeah, he wants acknowledgement as a Huron war chief. He wants to kill the daughters of Monroe. Then he's going to sell him, the Englishman, to the French for money, and then give the money to Sachin.
And he also kind of wants everybody to go back to their previous ways and just be badasses and take back theirs, and not this kind of truce with other people.
Yeah, he talks about getting now that they've killed the British, they're now stronger to renegotiate with the French to get better weapons, and they're going to start taking the Fox, Sauk, and Osage lands, trade for gold. Basically, he's going full on white guy.
Yeah, so they want to burn the sisters alive. Yeah, and this part too is cool. He's like holding up the beads. They're like a history of his people or his father.
Yeah, it's kind of like the sash that Worf has in Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's got the family crests on it. I guess that's supposed to, like, by looking at it, the way that its beads are put in there, you can see what his deeds are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has to go through the gauntlet. They throw him down, they cut him, they whack him in the head. I'm going to make sure he's brave enough to...
Even the old lady,
Oh, yeah, she was sassing him all the way. Making such a ruckus, they actually... Oh, he gets whacked in the head of that.
Yeah.
Lucky he wasn't even just concussed, unconscious. He doesn't speak Huron, but he knows that he knows French, so the major has to do French interpreting.
Thing is does Mugwai speak French?
Yeah.
He must. Okay.
He does, because he starts answering back in French.
And I mean, that makes sense. A lot of the leaders for those tribes would want to talk directly to French soldiers themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, he speaks English lies.
Oh, real historical figure. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Mogwai says something about, you speak
With
like a
two
forked tongue.
tongues.
Yeah, 2 languages, 2 tongues. You lie in 2
Yep.
tongues.
So he's basically here to try to negotiate.
Right. And they want to, I think, what was it? They wanted to burn the 2 sisters, and
send Duncan back.
Yeah, but he's like,
Yo, Copa.
he gets the older sister free, but the younger one they want to burn, and he's telling them, take me.
No, other way around.
He's saying, take me to Duncan.
Yeah, no, the chief says Magwai will take the younger. No, they'll send the English back to lessen the hatred of the English fathers. You'll take the younger sister and heal your heart, so that his seed will not die, and to heal your heart, the older sister's got to burn for Magwai's children.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
And then the officer's like, no, take me. I'm a great honor if you kill me.
And that's just got to be a real kick in the nuts for Magua, who wants that lineage to end. And he's told, no, you're not allowed to let it end.
No, you got to breed with her now.
Yeah.
And he walks off and off like, well, forget you people. I'm going to the other ones.
So then they leave and they take Duncan to burn him, and he shoots him before he suffers too much.
I'm sure it is absolutely intentionally difficult to follow. Because the first time I watched this, and if anybody doesn't know, the first time we tried to do this, it was a first watch for me. And
right.
Yeah. And so it was really confusing, exactly, because you've got Nathaniel speaking English, Duncan speaking French, and you've got all the native languages happening, and translations are happening over each other. And it's really confusing because what he does is Nathaniel tells them that he is Long Rifle. But at the point where he is saying, I am Long Rifle, Duncan is already saying, I am the Long Carabine.
Mm-hmm,
and the voices are so similar. I thought that Nathaniel had said that. And so I was really confused. And I think that confusion is probably intentional just because of the chaos of the scene.
Yeah.
But then Duncan, because they don't really have an identity for who Long Rifle is, I'm assuming, claims that he is. And that's why they take him, because his death would be a great victory. But yeah, he Nathaniel looks at him and says, did you tell him? And Duncan just says, yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's that little confusion in Nathaniel's eyes as Duncan is being carried away.
And then he's just like, just get her out of here,
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Jacob, he does the honorable thing of giving him a faster death than being burned alive by shooting him from a distance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always had mixed feelings about this scene. Like, I mean, obviously he loved her then for real, because why else do this? He could have just been like, hey, take this dude and I'll bounce on out of here.
Right.
Instead of, now he's going to give himself up and then she's going to go live happily ever after with this dude. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah.
And Duncan also does not die in the book. Dang it. I was just about to say it would make sense because in the book they were really good friends, but
puts him out of his misery. Now, so did we see the part where his brother sees the younger one being dropped off? He puts his hand on his dead shoulder.
Like right in this scene in here. Yeah. Yeah, he sees her and he's like, I'm going after her.
He just puts his hands on his shoulder, doesn't say anything. It's like, I'm going for her, Dad. And he knows. And that was always such a thing.
I think that this part here where it's all unspoken is really good. And
yes,
I think there are a lot of women out there that's like really, what they like about this movie.
And
that relationship as opposed to Cora and Hawkeye.
Yeah. And so, because You don't say a word. It's just in the faces and the expression, and as he's touching his dad's shoulder, you know exactly what's going on. You don't need somebody explaining it, breakdown. It's like you just know what's happening.
And how fast he runs, and like all the guys that he fights through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a suicide mission, but he's gonna do it.
And he gets messed up pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it does not go well. I mean, he takes a lot of these guys out, but
Yeah, I like this guy he first shoots. He's like, "What are you doing there?"
kaboom!
Boom.
Yeah, he goes through these people like butter.
And trying to reload while you're running at full speed, that has got to be like super hard.
Yeah.
Folks are smart enough to pick up guns of other people to.
Right. Well, you just got to hope that they loaded it correctly.
Right, too. And then he realizes he's up against somebody, you know, like, because he just got handed his guts.
Yeah.
And
but he looks.
Even gives him a chance to like maybe back down a little bit.
He does.
Yeah.
Okay, he kind of like, you know, okay, you made your point. But then he looks at her and he can't let it happen. So he's still in it.
Yeah, the knife scraping sounds too are pretty bad.
Yeah, especially on the rock, you know.
And you can see the look on her face. Not only is she hoping to be saved,
right?
No, she wants to be saved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't just attack him. He waits for him to stand up.
Yeah.
And he messes him up bad. And then he just kills him.
Yeah, pushes him over the edge.
Right in front, just as the dad comes around the corner. Ugh. And then his brother.
Ew.
From my left foot to this.
He's like, "Come on, come back. I have that man you liked, his blood all over my hands. Come back."
Yeah, and the gestures that he's making is like the softest, most gentle gestures we've seen that character make the entire film.
He takes his knife hand down and he kind of brings out his hands like, you know.
It's like a welcoming gesture, like he's just. But she can't see herself. She doesn't know the other guys are coming up. She can't see herself being saved and doesn't want to be subjected to everything she's going to be subjected to.
Plus, it's crazy because he could totally just kick her off the edge right now and could care less. But no, he actually does make this weird outreach to her. Like,
yeah. I mean, because if he pushes her off the edge, then he's going to lose what little bit of standing he's got in that alliance, I would assume, because he didn't follow through with the orders he was given.
But if she kills herself, it's like, well, her choice.
Oh, well.
I tried to rape her, but you know.
Damn, Alice, you should have jumped down the waterfall.
I know, right?
Yep.
What's the other thing that's crazy about this is, you know, it's the Dillahoo music thing and she falls down. It's just how he's just like, huh. And then they all turn and walk away.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, he's like, she made her choice.
Yeah.
White people, right? You know. Yeah, he does have that kind of bemused, like,
And the best scene in the whole movie right here.
Oh, it comes up, man. This music is in building and building. It's this very drony kind of, you know, and then he just unleashes and
that guy just gets that gnarly thing in the face.
Wham! And then he's like running double barrels here, taking him out. And he's like runs right by him. He's not even slow down.
But yeah, it's probably a really little thing, and I'm sure it is very accurate. But I really like the way that they run. They don't run upright or anything or tight. It's like they're spread out and they're low, kind of more in contact with the earth. And that allows him, when he's just running by without having to change his posture very much, to reach down and pick up another gun just immediately without slowing down one step. But every time you see them running anywhere, they have basically the same stance. And I love it.
And this here, he comes running after him, and he dodges at the last second, does his flip, and catches him right in the back.
And the fight's over really quick.
He messes him up.
Yeah.
Breaks
right
both
on
his
shoulder,
arms,
breaks his
collarbone.
It's kind of weird too how Magua is kind of leaning forward.
Yeah. I hope he can get it when this shot comes up.
Yeah. There.
Oh,
yeah.
This is one of the most greatest things I've ever seen in a film. You know, this Mogwai, he was seconds away from getting every single thing he wanted. He gets gypped. He's making the best of the situation. He gets his ass handed to him in like 2 seconds by this guy. And then look at him. He's just looking at him, leaning into it. He's not begging for his life. He's not whimpering. If I ever have an ending like this, I hope I have half as much courage as this guy is showing right now. Because he just knows. He's like, just do it.
Yeah.
And he just swings around right in the gut.
Wham. Ugh. Bends him over. The force of that thing, too, must have been unreal. Yeah, Steven, surrender. Yep. Ugh.
And now Magua really knows.
Oh, really? Boom. And it's the father who does it, not Daniel Day-Lewis, the head star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the ending speech.
I mean, it's really his
talking.
right.
Yes.
It's really his right to do it. And Daniel Day-Lewis's character stands back and lets him do it.
Yeah, he holds the other people off, but yeah, he lets his father take care of it.
And I guess those other guys see Mogwai get defeated and they just like bounce out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're like,
the fight's over.
He's dead later.
Hey, they're like, hey man, I wasn't here. I didn't see nothing.
I don't know these people. Yeah, I was just walking along.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
Here, man.
I won't tell anybody, I swear. And then the last speech is given by the father, where he talks about, I am the last of my people, the last Mohican.
Yeah, and Korra gets to see like how they truly like honor their dead, not just from what she saw earlier, where she thought that they just didn't care about anybody, just leave them out for the animals. Now she gets to see the respect that they treat them with when they have time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the song you hear at the end, that's by the Irish group Clannad. Enya was part of that group for a while, and she broke off. So it's kind of like that, new agey kind of Celtic thing, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
But it was perfect for this movie, especially the end there. That music is just perfect for the whole thing that's coming through.
Yeah.
I like that the ending just didn't overstay its welcome. We didn't need to see them reach town and be reunited or anything like that. It's just, this is where the story needed to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it ends, it ends with a similar shot of just the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in the midst of time.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the next book in the series picks up in during the Revolutionary War. Matt might know for sure. But yeah, there it is. That's it.
See you, Steven. He's got to take off.
Oh, later, Steven.
See you,
Thanks
buddy.
for coming, man.
Matt says there's still Mohicans around today. So there we go.
Yeah, have a good one, Steven. Thanks for coming by, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. So,
This is a great movie.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, great movie, great soundtrack,
Mm-hmm.
well shot, well acted.
Great action.
Great action. Yep.
I'm gonna have that main theme stuck in my head for a week again, just
I
like the
got it
last
going
time
right
that I
now.
watched this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just be like laying in bed trying to go to sleep and going.
I remember
I
that.
can't hate it because it's really good, but still.
Yeah, it is.
I remember the football commercial they used that for like Nike or something.
Mm-hmm.
It had like jump cuts. It was really good. It was a good commercial.
Matt says the next series of the book happens in 1758.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
not quite the revolution yet.
Not quite.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, the first shot and last shot, mountains.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah, I know I mentioned this last time, but very interesting the way they fight with the tomahawk. I'll see if I can find that video real quick, maybe show you. So go ahead and talk for a little bit.
Kind of along those lines, true to the Daniel Day-Lewis that Daniel Day-Lewis is and how deep he goes into characters, he did spend a whole lot of time learning how to properly fight with all of those area or period accurate tools and weapons, and apparently even slept outside and learned survival skills, so much so that when the movie was shot and done, he had a hard time readjusting to actually sleeping indoors. He just goes so hard with that method.
I know.
Yeah.
Probably why he had to retire. He knew he was killing himself on some of these roles.
What was his last movie?
It's been a while. I saw a picture of him recently. He looks old and wizened, and
I thought I saw somebody in the chat very early on say something about him coming out of retirement for something.
Let me look it up.
He was born in 1957.
Ooh. Yeah, he's getting to the point where he can't do method on some things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Phantom Thread, deleted scenes. Phantom Thread. And then before that was Lincoln in 2012.
Okay.
Ooh, that was a good movie too.
Would you be surprised if I told you I had not seen it?
I haven't seen that one either.
Lincoln, yeah, it was a really good movie.
Before that was 9. Before that was There Will Be Blood.
Gangs of New York.
Yep. The Boxer.
Crucible.
And the Name of the Father.
Right. Age of Innocence. Last of the Mohicans. Eversmell, New Jersey.
He's only been in 30 movies, but he really made a mark.
Yeah. Stars and Bars. Let's see. A Room with a View.
Room with a View.
I
couldn't find that video.
Yeah. He was in Gandhi.
What?
1982. Yeah. I don't know what role he played in it, but that had Ben Kingsley in it. Sunday Bloody Sunday, 1971, as a child vandal.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. Oh, he was in a couple of these are TV series, miniseries and stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I've seen most of his movies over the years.
Yeah, a lot of his main ones are very high rated.
Oh, yeah. And they're based on real people, too, usually.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Lincoln, he played Lincoln, too.
Yep, yeah. I told you, I saw the movie. It's a good movie.
Okay.
I think in The Name of the Father, that was a real Irish prisoner. I think he got out because he was married to one of the Kennedys at one time. They finally released him.
That doesn't sound right. They didn't have any political pull whatsoever.
It turns out he had actually nothing to do with it, but they kept him in because.
So anyway, sorry.
Go ahead.
The training, how they trained back then with the tomahawk, they would hang a log from a tree. They'd hang it like a boxing bag, and somebody would swing it at them, and they would, to get the weight of what a person would feel like.
Oh,
coming at them. So they would train hitting with that, so they would kind of get the feel of how it would feel.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like body blocking.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. They did a pretty good job in the fight scenes. It looks really.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I can show this, though. I'll pull up some pictures of those gun stock clubs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that freeze frame right before Magua got finished off, that was a really good shot of it. I was able to really see what you were talking about.
Yeah, I would hate to be hit by one of those.
Yeah.
Just the way that would knock you. And then
and they would paint them different colors too.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh yeah, here's a good one. It's a wood one.
Are you sharing it yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it right here.
Okay.
So you can get a pretty good look at it.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, on some of them you can see the cutouts that they make to give it a rough edge to do more damage. But yeah, that's a real iron spike there.
So you can swing it one direction if you kind of want to mess them up. Swing it the other way if you really want to mess them up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can see where this would break bones.
I think that one in the middle with the smaller spike on it, it'd
This
probably
one?
be, like that first one you showed. I feel like that thing would break off.
Yeah,
because it's so it's such
long.
a big piece of metal with a little stem on it. But like these other ones, especially that one in the middle, right? That type of spike right there, you're gonna be hard pressed to kind of snap that off. The one up there in the upper left hand corner, it's got tassels on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then the one below it, is that totally made out of metal? That one there? Like
looks
a modern.
I think Cold Steel makes one. That's
they call this
like
a
lightweight
trainer.
metal.
So it looks like it's got like parachute cord.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Handle grip. Yeah, that's probably like a modern one or something. They call it like a tactical gun stock club for use, special forces or something. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Pictures of them.
Yeah, this one right here.
Oh,
yeah, look how nice that looks. It's got
Check the one where look like he hit a watermelon and it just evaporated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would not want to be hit with one of those.
No. Yeah, this is the Cold Steel one.
Cool. Batter up.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah. I don't know how real that is.
Exactly. I don't know how much I would trust that helmet. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so modern recreation or whatever.
So, whoa.
Yep. That would be Jacob that selected this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so very crazy. I mean, man, you get hit in the head with that thing.
It'd be over.
Yeah.
Split your skull now.
Even just the side that doesn't have that spike, getting hit upside the head with that would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're basically
That's
hit
pretty
by a club, and then
Mm-hmm.
because its side is skinny, you're focusing all of that into an edge. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll knock you around pretty good, break your bones, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, and depending on how big it is, if it's one or two handed,
Mm-hmm.
because I think in the pictures I saw there were two, so it looked like you could use them one in each hand or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the movie, it was like a double-handed one, though.
Yeah,
That was a big
one. Yep, like a big
Yeah.
battle axe kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. It also kind of reminds me of the it's kind of like a what do they call them, a boomerang,
Mm-hmm.
but it's called a throwing stick, and it's got like a blade on it, so you not a kind of like a wing shape to it, and you just throw it sideways, and you can use it for small game and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
pretty
the
cool.
original boomerang in Australia was. Is it didn't
Yeah.
come back to you. It
Yeah.
just you used it to kill rabbits and stuff.
It's like Road Warrior. He had the bladed one where he took fingers off with it, and
Yeah, well that one's like more of a it'll come back to you kind of one. But
Yeah.
the original Aboriginal ones were made of stone or wood, and yeah.
Right.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but to get a little bit weird and nerdy, it reminded me a lot of Sokka's boomerang in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
The
he
one-
used.
the one from-
It was lopsided, so it looked a lot like it, and he used it
Yeah.
as a club and as a boomerang.
Right. That's right. Man, that was such a good show.
Still is.
I love that. I love that scene where they're fighting that guy that's like shooting fire out of his head or something, and he throws.
guy that
It's the
uses
only
the-
time.
yeah.
It's the only time the tomahawk really works.
Yeah.
And he gets him. He's like, yes, and the guy just gets back up. It's like, oh man.
Sorry,
He
I didn't
used
mean to
his,
derail us
Oh, that's
down
okay.
there.
That's okay.
third eye chakra thing to shoot the beam out.
Yeah. Yeah. But then he tries to shoot again, I think, and he just blows up. So the boomerang did do something.
Yeah, it kind of messed him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was
It's all right to get geeky here. We're all nerds.
yeah.
This
This
is
was a
weird
lot
to
of
go
fun.
from this movie to Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's quite
Yeah,
a total
right.
shift.
Yeah, that's kind of a jump.
Anyway,
the clubs matchup. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you finally got to get this done.
Yeah, me too.
Although in the beginning,
Had
it
a-
looks like you
Had a
front loaded
rough
all your.
start. It's like, oh no. The curse of the raccoons again.
Yeah, you just let him eat a bunch of ice chips, so they'd be happy.
Yeah. I took one of those clubs to him.
There you go. Now we know why you know all about that club.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting. They actually had ceremonial tomahawks that actually the some of them were just the blade part of the tomahawk, the front part, but some of them had like a ball on the other end, and these ceremonial ones had a tobacco bowl on the other end.
Oh, cool.
So it was like a big
Nice.
peace pipe they would smoke.
Yeah,
belated Bond.
a lot of tomahawks that were used for trade purposes had a pipe built into them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
And
see
they
those.
were highly sought after. Yeah, because it was a weapon and a pipe at the same time.
Yeah.
So
That's what I have. That's what I have.
Yeah.
It's that kind of head. But, yeah, and interesting. The American Continental Army, that was a standard tool, was a tomahawk, because you could use it to cut limbs and stuff and fight. So it was a standard issue. Kind of cool.
All right, awesome. Well, this was a great movie to review.
Yeah. Thank
Agreed.
you.
Yes, agreed.
So, anybody got anything going on this week, Blair?
Sunday, I'm going to be on Wookie Be Bad's show. We're going to be reviewing Oppenheimer. I'm going to see that this week.
Okay.
That'll be good. Yeah. That'll be
Joker
good
Voice.
to watch.
Joker Voice is going to be on there, and a few others. So, yeah, we're going to review Oppenheimer on Sunday on Wookie Be Bad's channel. And maybe one day Roman will get tired of this TV show he's reviewing, and we'll do the Dark City review.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. We still got a few more episodes, I think. We got to get through.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion.
And then Copa has his show on Sunday. I don't know what movie they're doing this time. They did Roadhouse for the opener, and they did Goodfellas with Cannoli Sasquatch last week. So
Yeah, I caught that Roadhouse one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see that. I was on Comics and Cosmetics channel talking Dean.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That was cool. But yeah, Shieldwall, you gonna be on?
Yeah, I'll be on Roman's Thursday show.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking the next episode of Secret Invasion. So we'll see how that goes. And then it's kind of up in the air from there. Normally I'd be on Comics and Cosmetics Sunday stream. That still might happen, but I got some other stuff going on. So maybe I won't be able to make that. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's always fun being on her show, and it's great being on your show too, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks.
I like doing it, so appreciate it.
Yeah. So next week I will be reviewing The 13th Warrior.
Ooh.
Oh man,
love that movie.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to be available for that. Damn it.
Oh.
But if I am for some reason, I definitely want to be on that.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
I'll leave it open for you. Matt's going to be on, and Uninspired Reviewer.
Yep.
And Technically Mexican is going to be on too.
Okay.
Cool.
Have you seen that movie, Beard?
Me? Beard?
Oh,
No,
surprisingly, no.
Oh,
No.
man,
I've heard of it. There's a ton of things I've never watched.
You got to watch that one.
That's a good one.
It's a good
one.
One
of my favorite Viking movies.
Yeah. It's really good.
Right.
A lot of people don't like it. It didn't get good reviews when it came out, which I don't understand. It's a great movie.
I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I was surprised. They dumped it at the end of August.
Yep.
Yeah. It actually comes from a
Michael Crichton book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michael Crichton. Yep. Eaters of the Dead.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a crazy read. It's good. It's an okay book. It's pretty good.
I think McTiernan directed it, but I think Crichton kind of just took over and finished it.
It's a good movie. I liked it a lot, and it's also usually tops the list of one of the movies that portray Arabs in a good light. So
yeah,
in a positive way. So I mean, that's not that's that's not the primary reason to see it, but it's a good movie. It's got Antonio Banderas in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it too. They're like
Yes.
picking all the warriors to go
That's
back to
that's a
the
huge
mainland,
Yep, that's a
and
great scene.
the 13th person has to be a stranger from the land.
Yeah,
So
13th warrior can be no Northman.
right. And
he's like the only non-Northman there.
I like what he says when you cannot be serious.
Right. And so the main character is in the 9th century, a real person was sent to be the ambassador to teach Islam to the I think it was like somebody up the Volga River that wasn't Vikings. There were people that lived up there, and his name was Ibn Falan, and he wrote about his encounter with. They were basically Russian Vikings, the Rus that had come down. They're basically Swedes that come down the river to trade, and this is where we get all of our written accounts of what they look like. There's a funeral for one of their chieftains where they do like the Viking funeral with the burning of the boat and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The Volga Vikings, which are also called the Rus, who then turn into the Russians much later. Right. So
Interesting.
You might remember that area from the Northmen. It's the very first place they go raid to the east. And then they want to go to the west, and he gets in conflict in the show Vikings with the leader that then tries to, so him and Rollo are when the battle's opening scene of the Vikings are in the east with the Rus fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If you've seen the Vikings TV show.
I've seen most of it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been a while.
But you saw the first season, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest after the first season for some reason. It kind of took a weird turn for me anyway.
I think for most people after Ragnar dies, then people just don't care about it no more.
Yeah, I never saw the second part of 5, or I never saw the last season.
Yeah, he was a good Viking, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Master, are you ready for next week?
Yep. So anyway, that's the 13th Warrior, great movie. I haven't actually read the book. I should probably read the book, but I'm sure the book's better.
Yeah,
you better, or Matt's going to call you out on it again.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a pretty easy read too. It's not anything major, but it's fun. It's a good book.
And it's an easy story to follow. It's not like crazily complicated or anything.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't have a lot of science in it like Jurassic Park. That one for me was a rough read.
Yeah, you could. I guess you could remake it these days. It would, it'd be a lot more diverse and stuff. But it was kind of already that way anyway, in a way. So anyway, there'd definitely be like warrior chicks in it if they redid it now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Black Vikings and.
Yeah.
Well, there could have been reasons to have people of color in it.
They did take slaves,
or merchants or whatever. Just like the new Vikings Valhalla TV show.
Mm-hmm.
They do go to Russia, right, and then down to Constantinople. So having people of color in there makes all kinds of sense.
It could, but then they take an actual person and they actually
race and gender swap them.
Yeah, oh, you're talking about no, I'm not talking about that part of it. That part was dumb.
Okay.
It was when they get down, they're on the river to Constantinople. They're going down basically the Volga. It's when they run into all these different people. That makes sense because it's a major trade route. I mean, there's just ways that you can do it where you can have a major character that's of color that is not a slave or an enslaved person and has power and agency and all that, and it makes total sense. Just don't make him a freaking Viking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Anyways,
I mean, it's not out of the question to have someone who's black in that time in Europe. just don't make them an actual European. I love how one of the 13th warriors, their helmet is a what is it?
Gladiator.
A gladiator helmet.
Yeah, from Rome.
Right. That's
Yeah.
because they all have
Awesome.
traveled down to Constantinople. And
yeah, they got pieces of armor from everywhere.
From everywhere, right? Because they were hired as mercenaries and or raided or whatever. So there's a lot of connections.
And one of the Vikings he's played by an Irishman or Scotsman. He has a kilt, which would have made sense because they had a lot of contact with the British Isles. So there would
kilts weren't invented until like the 16th century. So that part is an natural. It's not like totally realistic, but it's a good story. It's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of mixed with the main characters. The leader of the group his name is Bullvine, and it's
it's the story of Beowulf.
Taken after Beowulf, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. Which is good. Yep, they got to fight the fireworm.
Grindel is Wendell.
Yep.
Change the names a little bit.
Yeah. It's a good movie, man. I highly recommend watching it. Yeah.
Check out next week.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
great.
Thank you guys for coming on and enjoying this great movie. Thanks to the chat for hanging in there with us and had a good time. Awesome. The chat makes the show more exciting.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks to Matt for dropping all the knowledge and Ubaldo T for being here.
Yeah.
And everybody else that showed
always
up.
A good one of the Matt is always the good one with the knowledge.
Definitely.
So thanks for all that, man.
Oh yeah, if you ever run a stream with Matt, you're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He will educate you on a lot of different things. Same if you get on a stream with Steven Ransom.
Yep.
Yeah. Lots of good things about
they're
photography.
They're both powerhouses of information.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Yeah. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a better one.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.